If you are anything like the average competitive player in Overwatch, then chances are that you gave up playing ranked on some point throughout Season 9, and if you have been playing throughout any sufficient amount of seasons before that, then I wouldn't even put it past you to have been on a multiple season break in hopes of some patch coming that finally makes the whole experience a bit more bearable for you. But even if you don't fit into any of those categories, maybe you are just not the type of person to read patch notes religiously. And that's what I'm here for today. For anyone who has not been keeping tabs for one reason or another, I'm gonna let you know what you can expect to see when jumping back into competitive play in Season 10. So in order to keep the intro short, let's just jump right into it. The most obvious thing I'm gonna have to address is the introduction of a new hero into competitive play, namely Brigitte. While she has been available in quick play for quite some time, she did not hit rank for the remainder of Season 9 so that players could get used to her in a casual environment first before getting their elo stomped on ladder. The developers have already addressed as much, and I think it's important that we do too. Brigitte is a hero that is very much splitting the community. It is quite possible that with the heroes that you personally enjoy playing and the rank that you are personally in, she might feel completely broken. Whether that means that she's too weak or too strong is obviously up for debate here. While I did hear high ranked players and even scrim teams talk about how overpowered she is, I also heard other players in low ranks claim the opposite. Whatever the case, before we go around crying that something's broken, please be aware of her playstyle and her counters. Brigitte has virtually no range beyond her rocket flail that doubles as a peeling tool. Her shield also only covers frontal damage, leaving her sides vulnerable. That means that any hero who can do a sufficient amount of damage over a distance is gonna beat her into the ground, especially with AoE explosives. Pharah and Junkrat can make it very difficult for a Brigitte to do anything at all. She's a very immobile hero that has to hit you in the face to even heal her teammates, and all of her abilities have two edges. Rocket Flail either allows her to peel somebody off or get some damage done over a distance. Shield Bash can either stun somebody on close range or be used as a short range mobility tool. She cannot do all these things simultaneously. Beyond that, I really don't want to talk too much about what kind of meta we can expect to see in Season 10, as I would prefer to watch it play out first rather than being too speculative. Talking about balance patches is one thing, but a brand new hero, that's a bit too much speculation for my taste. But do mark the 17th of May in your calendars, because that's when Stage 4 of the Overwatch League is gonna kick off. Why does that matter? Because we expect Brigitte to be added to the hero pool by Stage 4, meaning that whatever the pro players are using her for is likely gonna be copied to some degree on ladder. Even if you are not interested in playing her yourself or even incorporating her into your game plan, knowing what players are likely gonna want to try is gonna help you defeating her on the other side too, so do try to stay sharp, my friends. But now let's talk about the nitty gritty, the hero changes that we have gotten leading up to Season 10. Again, if you have been keeping up with patch notes in the past 2 months, this is not gonna shock you, but for everyone else, let's dive deep. For those of you who despise dive compositions, rejoice! D.Va has seen a nerf to the explosive damage of her micro missiles going from 6 down to 4, and her boosters do less than half of the original impact damage, now being reduced from 25 to 10. If that does not mean a heck of a lot to you, then let me spell this out for you. When all things are said and done, her micro missiles got a 21% damage reduction in total, and her boosters don't quite double as an oversized melee finisher anymore. Well, at least not as effectively. If you thought that Mei was annoying, then this change is not gonna make you happy. Her basic attack now pierces through players, meaning that yes, she can freeze multiple players at once, and that quite effectively. It is worth noting, however, that only because it goes through players now does not mean that it pierces barriers, so you are still reasonably safe behind an Orisa or Reinhardt shield. Now, here's an interesting one. Reaper has gotten a massive buff. Not only does he get his ammo back after using his ultimate, he also got an additional speed boost when using Wraith form, upping the value from 25% to 50%. And if that was not enough, you can also cancel your Wraith form by pressing the shift or primary fire hotkey. That, I believe, was even a player suggestion. Moving on, Zenyatta has seen a 15% fire rate reduction for his right click, simply meaning that his orbs are not flying quite as quickly after another. That does make it more difficult to connect a whole volley over longer distances, but it is also a worrying change knowing that the netcode likes to mess around a lot. So I do fear for Zenyatta's ability to effectively protect himself against high mobility heroes who are known to be messing with the netcode by using their mobility abilities. Another change that's fairly interesting goes out to all of you Torbjorn mains out there. Turrets no longer target barriers directly, but will still target the enemies behind them. So make of that as you wish, I guess. Here's where we get to kind of old territory, but again, again, I just want to make sure you know of all the changes that happened between the start and the end of Season 9. Sombra's hack ability now goes on a 2-second cooldown when interrupted by damage. It also has seen an update that's very similar to Roadhog's first hook fixes. That means that the game is going to do more line of sight checks in the duration of the cast to make sure you can no longer hack players passing corners, or even worse, using abilities like recall. Changes that we expect to see hit live during Season 10 that are currently on the PTR include a Hanzo overhaul removing Scatter Arrow, changing Sonic Arrow, and adding a couple new abilities. Genji is expected to see a nerf to his deflect hitbox, Junkrat is gonna get his primary fire hitbox nerfed as well, and even his Riptide is gonna be slower. Tracer's Pulse Bomb is no longer gonna blow up tanks, seeing a damage nerf from 400 to 300, and Lucio is being experimented on in many regards, including his Soundwave no longer consuming ammo. Now, hopefully I didn't miss anything here, but it's time to move on to more overarching matters, including system changes. We now have a brand new feature called Avoid Player as Teammate, which does exactly what you think it does. You can add up to 2 players to a list that makes it so you never get them in your team again. For a week. It has been on everyone's channel when they first announced it, so I do assume that you already know about it. And that's pretty much it, I think. There haven't been any changes to how placement matches work, neither do I know of any sweeping fixes to the matchmaker, so that's pretty much all the same. If you do not actually know how placement matches work in Overwatch, then feel free to check out my video where I explain that very thing. Once we see how Season 10 plays out, and once the Overwatch League kicks off into Stage 4, you can also expect to see more videos regarding meta trends. But for now, there just isn't enough to go off of for me to make an educated guess. Anyway, I'm gonna call it a day, so thank you everybody so much for watching. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you all next time. Now if you excuse me, I'm gonna go back to playing God of War.